Hey everyone, and welcome to our first edition of Baseball 101, sponsored by South Florida Honda Dealers. I'm your host, Kelly Sacco, and joining me is Gabby Sanchez. Gabby, thanks so much for joining us.
It's awesome to be here. Thanks for having me.
So this is our first segment, so let's start at the beginning, the basics of baseball. So a couple guys from London actually came up to me during a game last week, and they're like, how do you explain this game simply? So I was like, that's a really good point. So Gabby, let's start the basics.
The basics. I mean, you can't really do it simple. People think, oh, baseball, it's simple. No, there's a lot to go on with it, but there are things that we can do. So, biggest thing, there's 9 innings in a baseball game. You have a top of the inning, you have a bottom of the inning. So visitors are on the top, the home team is on the bottom. So visitors, of course, are anybody who's coming to visit the team that is actually at the stadium. So once you get through that, now visitors start off hitting. So they get first dibs at trying to score a run. Each inning, each top of the inning has 3 outs, just like each bottom of the inning has 3 outs. So you got to get all those outs done before you can switch sides. And now the offense will go to defense will then go to the offense to try to score runs. That's as basic as I can give you on innings alone.
So that's on innings alone. So now we're going to get into it a little bit more, okay? So when you're hitting, we've got 3 bases, first, second, and third, and of course home plate, which is where we start. So let's talk about like the dimensions of field, and once you hit the ball, where do you go?
So think about it as everybody's played kickball. And in kickball, it's the same type of style as in baseball. The only difference is, of course, it's a lot bigger. So in kickball, it might be 60 feet that you're running to first base, where in baseball, it's 90 feet. And you're gonna always run counterclockwise. So it's different because everybody's always used to saying, clockwise, this is how you do it. Well, now we do it counterclockwise. So you go to first base first, then second, then third, and then, of course, the last one will be home.
So when you're batting, you've got a certain amount of strikes and a certain amount of balls. So let's start with that. So strikes, you get 3. However, if you had a foul ball, how does that work?
So when you have a foul ball, it just counts as a strike. But once you have 2 strikes, then a foul ball is just basically an extra pitch that you made the pitcher throw. It doesn't really count against you once you have 2 strikes. It's not like you can foul off and it be a strikeout. So yes, you get 3 strikes, but on that 3rd strike, it actually has to get past you, or it could be a foul tip over the catcher's glove where he catches it and it's an out. So that is a little bit more complicated, but really you only get 3 strikes. And then of course, you get 4 balls. So as soon as you get to 4 balls, if the pitcher couldn't get you out, you get a free pass to first base, and it's called a walk.
So we talked about how many strikes and how many balls you get, but the strike zone, it changes a little bit, but generally speaking, where is the strike zone?
Typically, the strike will have to go over the plate. So the plate is, of course, that little rubber thing on the bottom that looks white, and the ball has to at least touch a corner. And then typically the heights are from the knees to the chest. So it changes depending on an umpire, it changes depending on the batter who's hitting. It could be a taller guy, a shorter guy. So strike zones do change, but typically it is from the knees to the chest, and it does have to hit at least some part of the plate.
So baseball is one of the only games that doesn't have a game clock on it. So Gabby, how long does a game usually last?
Typically it's 3 hours. So typically a game will take about 3 hours, but that doesn't mean it's going to take 3 hours. It could be less, it could be more, depending on the hitters, depending on how many runs are being scored, depending on how good the pitching staff is doing. So there are things in a game that change how long a game is going to be.
And also, too, if they're tied in the 9th, it goes into extra innings. So is there a limitation for extra innings?
There's no limitations to extra innings. Extra innings can go on for 100 innings. I mean, I don't think you have enough pitching to go for 100 innings, but there is no time set. So if a game takes 5 or 6 hours, it can take 5 or 6 hours, and it has happened before. It has taken that long.
And do games end early for any reason?
Games can end early, so a game can go 4.5 innings, actually, and still be called a complete game if there is rain. If the home team is winning after 4.5 innings, and it starts raining and they have to cancel the game because of rain, that home team actually wins. But if the home team is not winning in that 4.5 innings, then they have to wait rain delay to see if they can make up. If they cannot, then you have to start up the game again another day from this point.
And of course, if the home team is winning in the 9th and they get through the top of the 9th inning, they don't have to play at the bottom. Well, that's Gabby Sanchez. I'm Kelly Sacco. Thanks so much for joining us for our first episode of Baseball 101. We'll see you next time.